Hey, Tony Gaskins here. Just popping in for a few minutes. Listen to me. Share this here word with you. And be very mindful of this because we're getting ready right now. It's a huge pinch. Huge pinch. And what you're going to notice is it's going to be a shift in the world. It's going to be a shift in the economy. It's going to be a shift in business. Right now, me being an entrepreneur, me being in business, I'm already seeing a shift and a pinch across the board. Everyday Americans and people around the world, they feeling it. Don't think that what's going on in Israel with Israel and Palestine is just affecting them. Everything affects everything. It's a ripple effect. So that's happening in one part of the world, but that affects the whole world. And the way the stock market works, the way businesses work, the way inflation works, like there is always seasons. And even if you go back to the beginning of the Bible and you see with Pharaoh, here he is, the king, and he got all this land, he got all this money. And Joseph interpreted his dream, and Joseph told him, he said, listen, you're going to have 7 years. You about to have 7 years of like feast, like opulence. And then you're going to have 7 years of famine. And the thing about it is a lot of times in the famine kill off a lot of people. And the only way you don't die is if you store it up in the feast. So when we go into a season of famine, and that's the way life works, life happens in seasons. It's never going to be just all sunshine. You're going to have rain. You're going to have snow. It's going to change. So you have to be willing in a season of famine. You got to be willing to lose what you got to lose. You got to be willing to shed what you got to shed. And then when it comes back to the feast, now you know how to move wisely. Because think about this. If you ever got an unemployment check and you didn't put up 10% of it into an account that the money could be stored up, or even 20%, even if that unemployment, especially if that unemployment check was more than what you were making on your job, now that was your feast. When you go through your famine, the furniture that you loaned, the car that you got on loan, whatever you got on loan, you may have to lose some of those things. And then when it comes back around to where your business goes back up, or you get a new job, or your salary is up, then now you have to handle that differently. And so what you have to get accustomed to, and this is for all of us, no matter where you are, because millionaires are broke, billionaires are broke. And you got to realize this. When something happened with the stock market, Jeff Bezos could lose 50% of his net worth, even as a multi-billionaire. And it's not that he get a salary from Amazon and he may get dividends from his investments, but the money is not liquid. The money is on the market. He don't have billions of dollars just sitting in a bank account. Nobody would ever do that because in any bank account, only 250,000 of it is insured. So he's not going to sit $1 billion in a bank account. It's going to be on the market with the hopes of making money. But with one thing happening in the world, that $1 billion could easily be 800 million. That $1 billion could be 500 million. And then to climb back up to that billion, it take time. And it take a lot of things going right in the world. And that's what you got to realize. And what you have to understand is this goes across the board. So a lot of times people think, oh, a millionaire don't feel a recession, or a multimillionaire or a billionaire. Everybody feels it in their own way. Like it's people who are billionaires in my network who have different little loans out, and they stressing about those loans. Like they acting like that, meaning that they've loaned money to people and those people haven't paid it back. And those people loan are coming due. And they stressing, they panicking, they acting like that few $1,000s a month from this person or that person is gonna put them in the poorhouse. So that teaches me that if billionaires are acting like this, what you think everybody else gonna be acting like? And that also lets me know that these billionaires are focused on their cash flow. So even if they own a bunch of real estate is one of the most trusted ways to build wealth. But guess what? They saying the real estate market is finna crash. And all the financial experts saying the real estate market is about to crash. So if you got $1 billion in real estate and that's what it's worth, but in a little bit, it's about to be worth $500 million. You about to lose 500 million in the worth of it, but you're over leveraged to where you owe 750 million. And that's what these real estate funds are getting ready to go through. And I see it because I'm into some of the funds and they emailing desperately. They sending desperate emails. Hey, log back into your account and follow these instructions to set up your auto deposit. Hey, we want to get on the phone with you and have a Zoom call to talk about other safer investments for you instead of the stock market. Invest with us. That's panic. They ain't never sent these emails before. But now they sending these emails. They ain't never reached out before. Now they getting specific people who going to their biggest investors and saying, we want to get out on a live Zoom call with you to talk about how we can help you preserve and grow your money. That right there is a red flag for me. Because these people ill to the streets. They ill to the market. They know what's finna go on. So now when they start doing things they've never done, and they doing things that they were not doing in the feast, but now they moving different and let me know famine on the way. So let me tell you what you got to do. You got to save your money. What I mean by save your money is let everybody who has price gouged the car dealerships, let them starve. Do not go buy a car. If you got anything to drive, do not go buy a car. If you could take the bus, if you could take the train, if you could take Uber or Lyft, go to the car dealership and see what it costs to get a new car. When you see what it costs to get you a car, basically a used car, you're going to see the interest rate. Negotiate with them. Get them all the way down to the bottom line. And then this is what you got to do. A lot of people just look at the payment, but look at what they tell you the car is worth. They're going to say this car is $30,000 that you're buying. Your payment is going to be $450. You finance for 84 months. What you got to do is take 450 and multiply it by 84. Multiply it by 72. Multiply it by 60. They're going to try to put you in the 84 because they make more money. So they get paid by the bank. And they get paid. And if they say your interest rate is 7%, the bank gave them a 4% interest rate. They added 3%, and that's where they make their money at. The dealership is legally allowed to add points to the interest rate. That's why you should always go into your bank first. If you absolutely have to buy, you go directly to your bank where your checks get deposited and you get the auto loan directly from them. And in this market, they may give you as low as 3%, but most will give you around 4%. Like Navy Federal Credit Union, they'll give you around 4.5%. When you go to the dealership, they're going to be talking 7% to 24%. It's going to be insane. And they marking it up. Let the car dealership starve. The luxury brands, Gucci, even Michael Kors, let them starve. Let them starve because the markup on their products is 1,000% or more. There's no material in the world. This stuff, if you shop at Michael Kors, if you shop at Lane Bryant, if you shop at Tory Burch, in the clothing industry, the products in the stores, they are at a minimum of a 1,000% markup. Basically means what they sell for $100, they got it for $10. So imagine anything over that, them $250 pair of Tory Burch sandals, them sandals are $5. You literally could go directly to the factory in Asia and you could get that same Tory Burch sandal for $5 to $15. Same exact material, same exact design, same exact everything. Trust me, I look in all this. I done done it. I could show you. So every single thing is price gouge. So we're going into a season where no more designer. All you buying is your necessities. And when I say designer, I mean, if you got to get a pair of shoes, okay, you're getting you a pair of Nikes. But now you got to start getting resourceful and going to the outlet, going to the websites that's selling the Nikes, that's reselling it, going to Poshmark, going to eBay, and being resourceful. And you could even just go right on Alibaba, which is owned by the Asian Jeff Bezos, Jack Ma. He's a billionaire. You go on Alibaba and right there, boom, you could type in what you want and you could get it wholesale. And so we going into a season, and even them, they're going to price gouge. You got to talk them down. But we going into a season where you got to be very intentional. If you have a job, it is no guarantee that you're going to have the job throughout the recession. There's no guarantee. So you have to decrease your expenses. If you got to cut off cable, cut off cable. If you got to cut off the expensive gym membership, cut it off and start walking in your neighborhood. If you got to cut off food delivery or any luxuries and conveniences that is costing money, then cut it off. Cut it off and cut back and take that money that you would spend on that luxury and put that into an account. And the thing about it is you got to be careful with the market, because the market is gonna go down. It's gonna go up, it's gonna go down, it's gonna go up. But a lot of times when it's going up in a recession, it's being propped up. It's just different little things happening. It'll be up one day, then it'll be down. So you got to be careful. So if you put it on the market, you could use something like Betterment.com, which is a robo investor, or you could use the Vanguard. Vanguard, they have an app. They over 200 years old. It's an investment company, and you could put your money right, into a Roth IRA. If you make under 280K a year, you could put your money into that Roth IRA and then put it into one of their safe investments, like they Total 500, and you direct it to there. When you go on the website, you'll be able to see it. It's self-explanatory. You don't need a degree. You don't need a financial manager. You don't need all of that, because right on Vanguard, everything's self-explanatory. You need a minimum, some of their funds, you need a minimum of $3,000 to get invested into it. But instead of that money sitting in a bank account, in a savings account, you can go right to Vanguard, have that $3,000 sitting in your Roth IRA, because you could put up to $6,000 a year in that Roth IRA. So you could have that money sitting in there, and then instead of it just being on like the money market fund, you can direct it to a fund like the VS. It's like the VSIX or VFIAX, something like that. It's there. You'll see it on there. They different funds. Google top Vanguard funds, and you'll see the different funds that they have. I forget the abbreviation, but it's like basically the top 500 companies that they investing in one of their top funds. With that right there, it's going to have the ebbs and flows of the market. But if there's any benefits, any positives in the market, any spikes, any jumps, it's going to do way better for your money sitting in that fund instead of sitting in a savings account with your bank. Because the bank going to put your money into a fund like that, and they're going to make all of the positives. And then you may lose some money if the market goes way down, but it'll correct. So you put in there what you know you are putting up. And your money you already got on the market, just leave it on there. Yeah, it's going to go down, but unless you say, I can't afford to lose 20% right now, then that's different. But then you got to look at the cost of withdrawing it. And so in a savings account, yes, you're not going to lose anything, but you may not make anything either. If anything is made, it may be the bank making it by leveraging your money that's sitting in the savings account. So that's a personal choice. I ain't no financial advisor. It's a personal choice based on your, I would say, appetite for risk. So I don't blame nobody. Me, I'm the type of person to where I don't care about making money on my money. I care about not losing my money. And so if something finna be highly volatile and I know it's finna be a huge crash, I'd rather have my money the way I can access it in a safe account, and then I will invest in me, meaning I'll invest in my gift. So if I know how to cook, I'll take that money and I will invest it in pots and pans and flyers for my meals. And then I hit the streets to the neighborhood and I go around and I will invest in me so that if I spend $200 on food, I could make $600 in sales of them plates. So me being a speaker and a life coach and an author, I'll take my money and I will rent a beach house for the week to go write a book in a week. And then I'll take that book, publish that book, take another $1,000, publish that book, and then start marketing that book. So that now I'm invested in me. I am my stock market. So whatever your gifts are, if you're going to spend money, spend it into your gifts. When you put your money on the market, you invested in somebody else's company to either benefit or be hurt by what's going on in the world and with them and their company. So you got to be mindful. But here's the thing. People with low financial literacy, typically it is people from low income neighborhoods, from bad school zone areas. People with low financial literacy are about to be targeted very heavy. The people who understand money and who have gotten a financial education, they will understand what to spend on and what not to spend on. But the sales, pay attention to your email, to your junk mail, to your sponsored, to your junk mail. The sales from every store you've ever shopped from, they're about to start emailing you every single day. They want every dime. Like one shoppers that I've shopped with in the past for my wife, I just got a text from one of them on a Sunday. On a Sunday with a very expensive product. It lets me know that there's a shift in the sales because these are high-end products, high-end brands, and the people at that level of money who understand money, a lot of times their money is making money through real estate or the market. So when that thing starts to shift for them, or even if it's doing good right now, but they see a shift coming in 6 months or 12 months, they will cut back on frivolous spending like luxury items and clothes and shoes and shopping if it's not an absolute necessity. And that's when the companies will start really coming to Black Americans. Black Americans are about to get bombarded heavy because we are a demographic that spends the most money in America. So, you know what I mean? Like relatively, white people as a whole may spend more money, but it's more of them. But we spend, I think they say 2 or 3 trillion or something like that. So because we spend so much money, what you're about to notice is all of the car companies are about to flood their commercials with Black people. All of the clothing companies, all of these companies, they about to start littering their commercials with Black people. And what it is it's saying, hey, in this recession, if you are fortunate enough to have a job, we want you to come spend your money with us. And if the government bails us out and they gives us stimulus checks or they give us them huge unemployment checks, we want you to come spend it with us. But this is what I want you to start thinking. Start thinking like this right here. Like, and instead of thinking like this right here, meaning you taking and you spreading your money to clothing brands, car companies, shoe brands, and electronic brands. You do like this with your money. You send it down the line, your kids. So now your money is going into your saving for your kids' education, saving towards your kids' down payment for their first house. Start putting your money down versus out, meaning your wealth line, generational wealth, saving money so that you see this pair of shoes, but your closet got shoes in it. You don't need them shoes. You see these clothes, but ain't nobody checking for you. You don't have to keep putting on a show, going to work with fancy outfits, because don't nobody care about you. So just circulate what's in your closet and mismatch these tops with these bottoms and give yourself 30, 40, 50 new outfits just by mix matching outfits instead of going to J. Crew and Macy's or Lane Bryant or this and that, Tory Burch, and getting more clothes. Just use what you got. Stop caring about what everybody else thinking and just take care of what you done already accumulated. Take care of what you done accumulated. And if you can't afford what you can have accumulated because it come with a reoccurring bill, then if you got another one, like if you got multiple cars and you need to let one go, let it go if you have to let it go. And then, yeah, your credit gonna take a hit or what have you, but sometimes you got to lose. Sometimes you got to take steps back to go forward. So instead of not being able to eat or not being able to take care of your kids just to pay a note on a car or something else, you got to make a choice if that's what it comes to. Of course, you don't want it to get there, but you got to understand credit is a system. They have credit repair. I done had a car that I just let get repossessed when I was young. I went to the bank later and they was like, oh, we see you paid your car off. I never paid that car off, but I guess the company wrote it off. I guess the bank wrote it off for whatever reason. I didn't know how that happened, but it looked like a paid off account to the banks when I went to get another car. And I was like, whoa, I just left that car at the salvage yard. It had got stolen. I didn't have the proper insurance on it, so I couldn't do an insurance claim. I just left it at the salvage yard. So I'm thinking, man, I still owe like $11,000 on it. I'm thinking that 11K gonna hit my credit and that it's gonna show a repossession. It showed paid off. So you got to understand credit, that's a system. That's numbers. They have credit repair that you could do yourself. And companies that's buying, they understand that you're a human. So even the underwriter got bad credit. So they know how credit really work. If they don't want to sell you something, they're going to stick to the letter of the law. But if they need to sell that, they know how to look at your credit in a way to understand what these numbers mean. They don't just look at a score. They look at what happened within this. It's a human that end up going through it. Now, you may get a denial off rip for like a credit card because they just looking at the score. But when it's a real purchase that you need to make, a human will take it and look through it. But not for credit cards, of course. That's just based on a number. So you got in your history and what your credit says about you. So you got to understand that in this season, you got to be very, very wise. And your job could lay you off in a month. God forbid, 2 months. But companies are about, if they are market dependent, meaning if the happenings in the world affect your company to where it's not something that is recession proof, then your job could be on the line. So every check that you get, you got to think like Joseph did. When he had that opulence with Pharaoh, he said, we got to put up 20% of everything. We got to save 20% of everything. So the first thing you want to try to do when the cash hits your account, see if you could slide 20% somewhere. Then live off the 80% of cash that hit your account. And if you got to tap into that 20, now you got to ask yourself, why am I tapping into this 20? Is it for necessities? Is it for just bills that I've accumulated that aren't necessities? Or is it because I mismanaged the 80 and I went shopping or I went out to eat or I did something I wasn't supposed to do? Now, ironically, this is one of the very shocking things is I've been coaching a lot of people. And one of the things I'm finding, which has been shocking to me, is a lot of single women with no kids have no assets and have no savings. And that has been mind-boggling because I was thinking that all women were good with money. I was thinking that women were more responsible than men. But now I've come to find out that I've been mistaken. And I feel like, and I may act, and now I'm starting to realize that actually, on average, men are more responsible with money than women. And I remember my cousin told me that when he was in the streets, he said to me, "Cuz I ain't never met a woman that's good with money." And I was like, wow. So what I'm finding is out of 10 women, I'm finding one that is good with money. 1 out of 10. But if I talk to 10 men, I'm finding about 4 to 5 of those men are good with money. Meaning a man will store up, he'll save up, he'll eat beans and rice, and he will wear the same clothes, and he'll store up, and then he will invest in himself. Like my mentee in the Bahamas, single man, no kids. He making money in a volatile industry of multi-level marketing, saved up, then took and had about $30,000 he invested into Forex trading, lost all of it. But even after losing that money by giving the money to somebody to trade for him, and they didn't know what they was doing, they finessed him because he was trying to make money fast. He lost $30,000. He still had money to go open a gym. And now opening a second gym, single man, no kids, not married. And this is how he moving. He investing into business. So to the ladies that's listening to this, especially if you single with no kids, when you got kids, you're going to have expenses that you can't get away from. But when you have no kids, there is no excuse to be broke. Especially if you gainfully employed, there is no excuse to be robbing Peter to pay Paul. There's no excuse to have bad credit. There is no excuse. You have to get your life in order. You got to stop going out to eat. You got to stop going shopping. You got to stop keeping up with the Joneses, and you have to work diligently. Save your money, meaning invest in yourself, or put your money in a safe portal, which might just mean stocks and bonds that have low risk. You don't have to go to a human being. You cannot trust humans with your money. Do not give your money to a human and say, take this money and invest it for me. Never do that. You are better off going to a FDIC insured vehicle like Vanguard. I don't know if they FDIC insured, but somebody that's been around forever like Vanguard. Or you could go to one of the newer ones like betterment.com. And now it's computers talking to computers. You're not dealing with a human. They doing a withdrawal from your bank account. You choosing where your money go. And it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not a whole lot of guesswork in it. And what come with it, come with it. But if you go to a human, you paying their fees. If you sending the money to them and not them telling you, hey, log into your E-Trade account and buy X amount of this, that's different because you moving the money. In this season that we getting ready to go into, you cannot trust a human being with your money. Nobody is above board. Nobody can be trusted if their family is starving and they got access to your bank account. Cut off all access to anybody that could touch your money. Cut off all access to it because we going into some new territory. Do not invest in humans. Somebody coming to you, they got some type of real estate fund that they doing. They got some type of, this thing right here that they doing to where it's like they got to go out and buy something. You got to vet that very closely. Vet it very closely. It's proven that most of them are not worth anything today. Almost everybody who is raising funds to go buy a product on your behalf or go do something on your behalf is turning out bad. It's different if you investing into like a business or a brand that it's going to be and it's going to stand there. And so that's why the stock market is, so trusted. But you got to make sure that you're doing either saving or you're investing in you. But what you're not doing is bailing out the car companies by going and get one of these high interest loans on a car, bailing out the housing market by going and buying a house with a high interest rate and paying a boatload of money if you absolutely do not need a house right now, going and buying a bunch of clothes and shoes if you already got clothes and shoes, because I'm telling you, things gonna start to shift. So we all got to be wiser. And I know even with myself, I have to pay attention. And so this a message, this what my spirit at. God put this on my spirit, and this what the Lord gave me as a download today. And that's why I popped on here and wanted to share it with you. God bless you. We'll talk soon.